Edward looking for the knock-up. Little too far forward. He got ignited. That's a kill for Sneaky. And granted again, flip over the top and Stejos this time with no summoner. Will fall once again as Licorice able to grab that kill. Oh, hello. Another one there. Oh, Flick didn't quite land. Should have fled the other way perhaps this time. And at least burns a summoner. The ignite plus the whirling death. I'll have to take it. Sven, going in. Going too far in. What on earth was that wall?
I need to Gragas. Do you have a word?
Look, Gragas. Gragas no ulti.
I warded already.
Dragon splashed out. He's dead.
I have nothing going.
Look at Rice. Save Rice.
I can ult on these guys.
Okay. Look out the flash.
Go Baron.
Let's go Baron.
Diamondprox explodes one more time, and Sneaky finishes with a triple kill flourish as Cloud9 will can the fountain and take themselves to match point versus Gambit.
Welcome back, everyone, to Game 4, where C9 are on match point versus Gambit Esports. C9 have not missed the World's Group Stage since their inception, so they are doing what has to be done and are only one game away from making that come through once again. So, Mark, at the beginning of the day, you said win conditions for C9, save the innovation. That did not exactly happen.
No, I think they're actually going the other direction. You can try and hide all your picks, or you can go completely the other way and show them so much stuff, no one knows what they should ban.
Also works.
Yeah, because I thought the Thresh and the Draven was a meme pick a little bit in their last game of group stages where they already qualified as the 1 seed, but here they're showing like this is actually something we might be playing, so you can't pick things that are weak in the Draven come group stage.
Yeah, I was like, you probably don't want to play Draven when they get into, if they get into the group of death. But you just don't know anymore. I think the Singed is a very smart one, though. So Singed coming in when there's just no real damage in the top side of the map. Taliyah gets an easy gank top side, and you're like, well, how are you going to kill him from that point forward? That's a smart one. I hope we see more of it.
And to that point, we have to highlight that Licorice has been banned out as much as possible by Gambit. They've thrown him a lot of punches, but he has shown different things. He played the Akali top, now he picks the Singed. This guy is a menace.
Yeah, I think he's someone that you have to be really concerned about, that he can play a lot of different champions into tanks, so if you're going to ban out all the fighters because you don't want to deal with his counter picks, he still has things prepared for tanks as well. And this is a good sign for NA fans that, you know, it's not just the Urgot and the Aatrox and Lissandra that he's playing. He has other things prepared.
Yeah, for me, he's definitely been a highlight for C9 so far in the entire tournament. But when we turn it on Gambit, they, of course, need to find a way to come back in the series because it seems all but done for C9. Raz, what can they do?
So, my first one already got broken down when I was saying you can try and limit Licorice. Well, apparently he just has more things that you can't really deal with. But for me, it's keep it simple. I think the teamfight comps that are coming through, stronger laning phases that are coming through, these are the right adaptations Gambit are making, but they're just losing based off of just individual play. The last game was the worst micro we've seen from a lot of the members. Edward in particular, who was having a great laning phase, which was in a bad matchup. But, you know, Spawn already mentioned overextending and losing them that lane. And then when they're trying to contest around red side vision, trying to hit the wards, there were so many opportunities for them to die when they were extending outwards. So they can't afford these messy games with the strong players they're going up against. So just focus on their own individual play.
Yeah, I think both Edward and Kira over the course of the series have proven to be a bit of a liability for Gambit. So should they take more positives, as you said, then from that game that they did win?
Yeah, I mean, partially that, and I think Kira, when he's on these more supportive champions, is better. I thought the Galio actually was a good idea, and it was going more even in laning phase than, say, the game he's playing in the first one. Yeah. His ultimates just weren't super effective. There was one where he had effectively cut off Licorice and then ulted away from him onto Svenskeren, so a little bit more decisiveness, and hopefully going to a bot lane that's actually winning, and Edward had kind of already thrown away that matchup, and I think that's where they wanted to spend most of their resources this game, but just couldn't.
However, also when we look at the side of C9, Svenskeren gets subbed in, and this was their most convincing win out of the series so far. What conclusions are we drawing? I
mean, as an NA fan, this is what you expect. He plays a lot more of the tempo-oriented junglers and playing around lanes a little bit better versus what Blabber tries to do is just a lot of fighting and killing the opponent. And so things like the Olaf, the Taliyah that we've seen here, these are the kinds of things you look at with Sven.
And more controlled. He was tag teaming with Zeyzal a whole lot more. So you got more out of the Thresh pick than you've seen throughout the play-ins at all. So this was the best Thresh play I've seen, but it was mostly because every time a hook came out, it was tag team with a flick. So I thought it was a good combination between the two of them.
Yeah, you definitely saw the nice synergy there, and I think it's still good out of Gambit to have forced this kind of stuff. I mean, Reaper did say at the top of the day that Svenskeren was probably going to sub in anyways just to get some games on stage. But, you know, they have to work pretty hard. I mean, they did lose the second game. Game 1 was a little back and forth as well. So I think Gambit has done a good job of making sure that C9 can't just go out there and pick whatever and win.
What do you make of that, then Reaper elected, maybe expected it to be a 3-0, so that after the 2-0, Svenskeren, I mean, should we read into that a lot, or is this just, well, he needs some stage time, let's give it to him now?
I just expect that Reaper expects the best out of the team. You know, he always has high aspirations, expectations. You expect, you know, we're the best team in play-ins, we should be able to get out fairly cleanly if we want to challenge the best in the next main stage. That being said, sure, they did lose a game and they're bringing in Sven. I think Sven doesn't need the experience. You already saw how calm and collected he was there. It's Blabber who does. So, not too worried.
All right, predictions. You both had a 3-1 for C9. Is there anyone who wants to change it? I do not think so.
Nope.
No, but I will say that red side draft in game 2 was hideous. And
They're blue side now, Gambit, so
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They might replicate it.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about this game for C9 because it did feel like their usage of counter picks was not very inspiring, I guess, but I still think that they won't be quite as ridiculous as they were.
You agree?
Yeah, man, I agree with that.
All right, cool. They all align. So this should be the winning game for C9, but maybe Gambit crawls their way back in. We'll see. Casters, take it away.
Oh, hello again. It's time to see if Gambit can tie up the series this time around Spawn and push ourselves to game 4, through game 4 to game 5. We made it.
Certainly did. We got there in the end, but I think that a lot of things need to change for this Gambit lineup if they are going to be successful in this game. I think that you cannot just blindly run brute force comps without any way to answer the side lanes against Cloud9. They will punish you for it, and I think that's what we saw out of that last game. In saying that, I think that if Gambit was slightly more decisive, they could have made a couple of team fights work. Didn't seem like the synergy was on there, especially between PvPStejos as well as Diamondprox. Diamond had a bit of a shocker. So I think that, you know, there are certain areas that they can tighten up and bring this one back.
Are you telling me that, you know, a strong, good, aggressive jungler that Diamond is comfortable on, that is able to influence side lanes would be a good pick? Does Taliyah fit the bill there for you? Again, like, it's kind of the sore thumb sticking right out in that draft, but I feel like Diamond is someone that has shown up on that pick and shown comfort. If you can get it, just give it to the man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he deserves a tempo jungler. I don't like to necessarily see him playing tanks at this stage because I want to know that when he wants to look for his fights, he has easier ways to find them, you know, through the Weaver wall. Would have made Edward's job a lot easier of forcing those engages, and it just, you know, wasn't the case in this game.
Even something like the Nocturne that he did decently on in game 1.
Great in game 1.
Could be something that they could look to as well, but we'll let the teams answer for us here as we are into draft for game number 4. Gambit on the blue side, banning that Singe, or ban away the Lissandra, so Licorice's picks getting picked on a little, and 2 supports by Cloud9, TK and Alistar gonna get out of there as Aatrox banned by Gambit.
Yeah, and if you're Edwards, this must feel bad because they really are targeting you now. They're saying that unless you're on one of the easier to execute supports, that you look pretty ordinary all throughout Worlds, and I think that's been the case, expecting potentially to go towards a jungler here for Diamond just because they haven't hit the champion pool, so he would have his pick. Kai'Sa also up and available. Varus also there for Lodik. These are kind of the champions that we've seen so far.
I do also like the Urgot ban from Cloud9, just saying, you know what, let's not give it back away and have to run into that problem. And there's the Taliyah first pick, though, for Diamond, so he will get the more aggressive side of the matchup, depending on what Sven wants to take here.
Potentially, I mean, there still are avenues for Sven to look to attack this. You can take some early skirmishing pressure. You don't necessarily want to have something like a dash like a Zeyzal, because if she does get the pebbles down, you do a lot of damage to yourself. And this would be a change once again. You know, flip it on its head. If they want to go towards, that won't be a change. If they want to go towards the jungler, we can take the stronger bottom lane with the Varus. I would have liked to have seen that.
To see, certainly considering a bunch of different picks here, but looks like Cloud9 maybe just flashing some potential options. They will take Thresh, Draven completely blind once again.
And now this time around, I think that you can take yourself, you know, potentially the Rakan, potentially look towards the Varus if you are Edward as well as Lodik. You know that Lodik's going to get targeted out in the second round of bans, most likely, if you don't take his pick right here, whereas there are all of the major tanks up, and Stejos looks pretty good on the Maokai, so I don't necessarily think that's the problem. Kira has shown that he has a champion Ocean, so I don't expect them to go towards his pick, and I think prioritizing this bottom lane does make a lot of sense.
I like the Varus here a lot from Lodik. We'll see what they pair it with here. This would be called a Gambit special. Haven't seen Tarek in a long while. But we'll see what they do in a select here. Still 10 seconds to make their third pick of this draft.
Oh!
All right, it's Nautilus instead.
And I expect it to be a support Nautilus.
Yep.
Supportalus. Which isn't very good at the moment, I don't think. Has just gently been tapped up time and time again.
See if I can find out the last time Supportalus graced the stage for Edward. See if it's even got some going this year. I'm going to guess probably not.
Yeah, I'm also going to guess that as well.
Ah!
Turn. Going to be locked in.
I found one. It was a loss.
It was a loss. It makes a lot of sense because I don't think the champion really does fit the bill. However, could potentially match with Licorice here.
Back in there though, it looks like Nocturne is the pick for Sven this time, so gonna take that very strong, aggressive jungler.
I'm interested to see whether Gambit takes away the Akali because Cloud9 have shown that they can flex it into 2 lanes. Flex picks on red side are pretty potent because you're able to guarantee, you know, at least one theoretical good matchup for one of your lanes, as well as take something OP. So I would potentially, if they want to continue to show their proficiency on the champion, like to see Sneaky out of this pick ban, take himself that for potentially Licorice, potentially Jensen. If it is going to be the case, I would like to see them ban away potentially one of the other damage tanks, maybe something like a Cho'Gath that can wave clear against it rather well.
Looks like Sion and Nivea, so
yep.
It's kind of taking away the comfort for top and mid lane respectively. Galio the ban there for Gambit. On will join in. Take a very strong, straightforward team fight tank away.
Because the last time we saw the Akali top lane, you got to remember it was played into Urgot. Nothing has looked good against Urgot so far. And I'm sure that Jensen can play it in the mid lane. So, you know, there is that double header. Not to mention the fact that a lot of Kira's champion pools do... Whoa, okay.
That's the Jarvan.
That's a blind Jarvan.
For which solo lane spawn?
It's for top lane.
Yeah.
I wonder
I'm
if
just
it's
testing
I wonder if it's a shout out to, you know, the previous top laner of Cloud9 in Ray, big full AD Jarvan player when he was in the LPL.
Copy though, for top lane presumably this time around, unless there's a couple of flexes going up again. But yeah, you can of course move these around. Whatever it is, I'm certainly surprised. I mean, Nautilus was already one of the biggest banners.
We're expecting a mid laner, and we will get a mid laner.
There is Leblanc, not banned this time around, but give presumably Jensen counter pick. Although I'm hearing Vedius' voice in the back of my head saying that Nocturne, maybe we could play it. It's not going to happen.
Most likely going to be a rise here, I think. You know, pair up the globals one more time. Jensen's looked very clean on it.
Ooh.
Once again, Cloud9 just reaching further and further back into the champion select.
Okay.
My eyes lit up then. I was like, is it actually going to be?
Kassadin instead, the pick here for Jensen.
Makes a lot more sense. I mean, we've seen this matchup played multiple times across the play-in stage already, and it does seem to be fairly heavily Kassadin favored. G4 actually played both sides of it and kind of won both sides of it. On the LeBlanc, he was able to leave lane, pick up kills around the map. I actually think he took down the jungler twice, was 3-0 when he came back to lane. Then against G2, when he played it again, was able to pick up a couple of kills on the Kassadin side of it against Perks, and was able to win out on that lane very hard. So see what Jensen, someone can do, someone that is very practiced on the assassins in the mid lane, can pull off in this current matchup.
Just want to point out, there was a number of games ago when we heard from Mark Z in the analyst desk giving his win contingent for Cloud9, but they've ignored that. He said don't show innovation, and Cloud9 have shown new picks, I think, every single draft so far. However, if it's enough to push them over the edge here and win this game, I'm sure they'll be happy to show a few extra things here in the play-ins.
Because there's two ways that you can treat new picks. One of them is the fact, let's hide it to win a game, and then the other thing is, let's pick it and scare everyone else. Now you know you cannot blind LeBlanc against us, maybe even if we aren't the most comfortable in the matchup, and it gives you some additional reps. So I actually don't mind showing additional things here, especially if Reapid still has some more spicy picks prepared for the group set.
He does.
I
have no extra information. I haven't talked to anyone, but he does. He definitely does, as the coaches already back up in their rooms. But Gambit has to be kind of that feeling of dread mounting in their stomachs. It's a tough ask for them to win this game, and even tougher to win the next two, but that is the situation they are in if they want to continue their run here at Worlds. For Cloud9, looking to make another strong appearance, perhaps even through to the top 8 of the event. Must win one of the next two in order to get there.
And the last time we saw Gambit on the blue side of Summoner's Rift, it was with some patented innovation. They pick up the Poppy, they pick up the Anivia, and they're able to secure themselves a victory. This time around, more innovation. They have themselves a supporterless, the first one we've seen of Worlds play-in. However, I do not like this innovation as much as I like the Game 2 innovation. They really are relying on snowballing the bottom side lanes to have any hope in this matchup. At the same time, once again, C9 just have a very good 1-3-1 comp. If Svenskeren gets any kills in this early game, it becomes even easier to execute upon that, you know, attack Stejos, attack Kira in the side lanes, where they are already in, you know, pretty tough matchups.
This is a change I can get behind, though, for Gambit. They don't overcommit to it, but they do group as 3 and try and get some invade pressure down. C9, though, play it nice and defensively. There is a good deep ward for Gambit on the blue side of Cloud9's jungle, but nothing too crazy, as we can see. Sven is starting on the left. Same there for Diamond.
A little bit of adaptation out of Jensen here. He does stick with the Fleet Footwork as his rune of choice, which we've seen a lot of. However, this time around doesn't go with the Dorian Shield. So obviously thinks the lane is a little bit easier than what the other mid laners did, as they went with a shield purchase. It actually, in both situations, worked out a treat because they weren't forced out of lane, but we'll see whether Jensen has some more forward pressure potentially in this matchup now that he has gone with the more aggressive Darkseer.
Yeah, we have seen Jarvan already this tournament, but not in the top lane, so we'll see how Licorice can do here, especially versus the counter-pick Poppy that Stejos does have for himself.
And I'm actually a pretty big fan of Jarvan at the moment. You can max out W2, it gives you very good options in taking some of these fights. He's got pretty good sustain now that Corrupting Potion is in the lane. And he just procs grass like really fluidly through his trade patterns. Other people that take grass don't necessarily want to go in for auto attacks with their trade, but given the fact that Jarvan's passive, synergizes really nicely with it, just makes sense. See, Diamond right now, zipping around the top side of Summoner's Rift, hasn't really been able to outpace the Nocturne, however, who's just gone major camp to major camp. With Duskbringer, one of the quickest junglers. And once again, I expect Sven to just try and get towards level 6 and try and impact potentially the top side of Summoner's Rift. Because if he's able to do that, if he can create a discrepancy again for Licorice and Stejos, then his job in the mid to late game of attacking a side lane becomes much more easy to execute upon, because you would expect Stejos to have to go primarily armor items to stave them off at that point.
See Diamond kind of thinking a similar thing. We'll take the Krogs away. We'll see if they commit with a pretty big wave mounting to some sort of dive here on Licorice.
I mean, got to remember that he is running the Resolve primary, so he's a pretty tanky Jarvan at this stage. They go for it regardless.
Oh, W maybe used early. Licorice just kiting it out, pops the shield up, and walks away from it.
And now all of a sudden you can see Sven is heading towards the top side of the map, so they can turn this. There's no steadfast presence if they walk back through.
No overcommit though. Diamond will move into the jungle just barely, but Sven will take the remainders of that Krug camp and make sure it can respawn.
You can see instead that he's got in behind Jensen here.
Jensen with a flash, he's going to take some damage. The flick does not land as Jensen is forced to burn the summoner.
I mean, that is a very successful gank. He just walked in by himself. There was no real pressure coming out of Kira, and they'll also use that to push out the wave, so heads up play right now.
2v2 though starting, stand aside already used. Aftershock off for Edward, and Sneaky wins out on that trade. Jensen also staying, does get flicked back in. He's actually just straight in front of them. He's got ignited, and that's first blood. Jensen, what on earth are you doing?
And you can see Svenskeren wants to clean up the mistake, has the flash, but can't get in range. And that is a baffling play out of Jensen. Knew that Kira was manaless.
Ignite down on Zeyzal. Diamondprox can make it work again. He's going to flash in. The hook from Zeyzal is good, but he's not going to live through it. Diamond gets another kill. 2 DPs down here as Licorice does get himself a shutdown onto Taliyah.
But so far, Diamond has visited 3 lanes and come up huge. This is a player that we said needed to have impact in the early game. Well, in game number 4, when Gambit needed the most, he absolutely does.
Sven will take time to invade here, but he's actually getting collapsed on by 2. Svenskeren, great spell shield, but he's still going to get rooted by the auto attack. He does have his flash, but it's not going to matter. C9 just throwing themselves into the arms of Gambit.
And
That's
no
awful.
priority bottom lane. You can see that they've just sent Zeyzal back. They know that the top laner has recalled as well, so Sneaky can't push in. Hook is on again.
Oh, root lands, heal burn. Zeyzal No follow-up, and Sneaky's out of mana.
And Sneaky flashed as well. This whole bottom side of the map now without a summoner spell for Gambit. They're about to tick level 6 in multiple lanes. Diamondprox can really impact any lane on this map now.
And it feels like Licorice is maybe the last vestige of the early game sanity that Cloud9 have, because they have just turned their brains off in the last extra plays. And credit to Diamondprox for doing that work. Again, so impactful on this Taliyah once again.
And we said get him the earlier jungle, right? Allow him to have impact. This time around, Svenskeren should have just been trying to prioritize farm, should have been trying to get towards the stage of the game where he is able to impact the lanes. But now, when you have a Taliyah that can also get into the lanes, when you're relying, hook on again.
Edward, the target. See if C9 have enough. No flash for Sneaky, used it already. So can't really follow.
Yeah, Diamond also down there as well. Reading the plays, that's an ultimate.
Dunkaruski there for Licorice. Is locking him in. The minions helping out. Corrupting Potion ticking away also with a team up at Diamond again. Kira diving into the bot side of the map. The chain's gonna miss. And Sven's here early. Beautiful counter gank by the Nocturne, and C9 collect a kill.
Yeah, very nicely done out of Sven there. Read the play beautifully. Used the summoner spell to pick up the kill. On the flip side of the map, Licorice still trying to just exert some pressure over Stejos here. Had the level 6 first.
And again, using the Corrupting Potion charges, it seems like everyone is out here in the top lane. Jensen also now able to rip walk on. But Kira still continuing to play aggressive as we'll watch this again.
Yeah, that's just a nice hook. Very good vision placement put down earlier. If Kira lands this chain, Sneaky dies, but it is not to be. And as we mentioned, the fact that Sven commits to that play, and he needs to catch up, because your job is the exact same, apart from the fact that they have a mixed top side. So, you know, Poppy does a lot of physical damage, then all of a sudden you have a Taliyah doing magic damage versus double physical damage dealers, which means Poppy's itemization is much easier to solve for. Not to mention that Licorice in the split push also has to be able to do damage to be relevant. So he's never going to build pure threat. Diamond at this pace would have just been able to camp Licorice, be able to take him down time and time again. If he looked to split into the side lanes, now with that kill from Sven, can start catching back up, can get back on pace for some good farming, and look to counter game.
At least the goal is even back up or thereabouts. Gambit still up a few hundred. But both junglers moving in towards 6 have actually hit it on either side now. So look for Sven or Diamond to have an impactful first ultimate. It seems like right now both are perhaps trending towards the bot lane here.
I also think it's a little bit important to talk about this mid lane 1v1, not in context of Kira versus Jensen, but Leblanc versus a Kassadin, because it does seem to hold some merit in this Plains group so far, and so you have to assume we'll probably be seen a little bit more throughout the rest of the world. And right now it looks like if Leblanc doesn't leave lane, then she can't have impact. Kassadin can just farm underneath the turret, be very safe, is going to turn into that ticking time bomb. Gank set up on the bottom lane, so we'll hold that thought briefly.
He's going to blink first. Chain Corruption already landing. It's a bevy of ultimates onto Sneaky, and Diamondprox blows him up at Sven. Able to get the counter kill onto Lodik, so now it's jungle versus support action. TP in from Gambit, though. Edward is going to be the target, but Sven's now left out all alone as Stejos charges in, moves Sven towards his turret, and grabs himself a shutdown.
Yeah, very nicely done from Stejos. Made sure that he was out of range. You can see that Licorice nowhere near the top side of the map regardless, and impacts to teleport the play. Both junglers with the exact same idea, but Gambit with the extra member due to that TP advantage, able to make it work.
And do have a pause here. Looks like Stejos is trading to a ref. We'll get info as soon as we have it for you, but a surprisingly different early game here. We've talked a lot about Gambit really struggling to get stuff going in the first 15 minutes. We're sub 10, and already Gambit have found much more than I think they would have thought, and probably much more than they deserve, given that Cloud9 maybe did some silly stuff.
Yeah, the switches seem to flip for Diamondprox. He was able to get into top lane, then mid lane, bottom lane, just subsequent ganks, and you know, really just ran it down from the top side of the map and was able to generate advantages. Sven at the same time on Nocturne doesn't really want to be a part of these plays. I think that the important thing for Cloud9 to realize is that this game is still fine as long as Jensen is accumulating farm and as long as Svenskeren is going to be relevant, which he is because he picked up a couple of early kills. That is still the part of the map that in the 1-3-1 they will probably look to attack, and Kassadin will start to accumulate advantages. In saying that, I think that the good news here for Gambit is that the Nautilus hasn't looked horrible so far. It's generated good fights, and now the fact that we have a Draven and that ultimate is going to follow through, the teamfight execution does become easier. So even though they have a composition that once again can attack the side lanes, I think the player tendencies of Gambit is to always teamfight, and that's what we've seen so far this series, and they certainly have ways to make that work as well.
I mean, again, if you're looking to lock down a Draven, Nautilus does it better than most from the support role. So I can, again, see the theory behind the pick, and as you mentioned, it's not been too bad so far. Looks like we are investigating either a mouse issue or some potential creep block. We'll get you more info as we have it, but as you can see, people talking to the top laner there for Gambit, just to make sure everything is A-okay. And this is always a tough thing for any team or any player. When you're in a pause, all of a sudden, things go quiet, you're not focused on the game because there's no game to play right now. This is certainly a test, albeit a small one, but something that teams do have to get through here on the biggest stages.
Yeah, I actually talked to Ejim about it a lot because obviously ex-pro player has had more than his fair share of pauses in his time, and he says a lot of what goes through your mind is what cooldowns have they used? Where are their... Because the big cooldowns are going to be recorded, right? You have a TP timer, you have flash timers, but when did he use his ultimate? Like, how long ago was that?
Yep.
Most of the players are a little bit more feel-based in regards to those cooldowns, the soft cooldowns in the game, and that's really what you start to lose touch with as you sit in a protracted pause.
Well, looks like we are going to be getting back in soon enough. So just make sure everything is A-okay before we load back into the Rift. As I said, though, it's kind of fun to see that this jungle matchup we talked up as being an ancient one between Sven and Diamond. I think in this game especially, and we saw that already with the bot lane altercation, is becoming something that will be pivotal in the result of this game.
Certainly agree, and I think that if you're Diamond, you know, such a storied jungler, you do not want to go out of Worlds a second year straight without having a Diamond game and, you know, really being able to dictate the pace of the Rift. So I love what he did here. He got busy super early on into the game, and he said, you know what, this might not work, it might work, but I'm just going to visit everywhere. I'm going to make sure that Sven is reacting to my plays, and a couple of times, you know, he got counter-ganked, it looked poor, but last gank especially, you know, able to get into the bottom lane, picks up a kill, teleport completed this time for Stejos. They managed to swing it in their favor. They've generated themselves that early gold lead. And as the game progresses, you know, Varus going to start dishing out so much damage. Leblanc will come online earlier than the Kassadin, so we'll have windows to play around. And I think that all Diamond can really hope for is to continue the tempo of this game to be nice and quick for his team.
And in a lot of ways, he really is the heart and soul of this team, I feel like. Obviously, he's a big fan favorite, been playing forever, but so have some of his other teammates. Edward, of course, comes to mind. I think Diamond has had progressively better and better tournaments as he's kind of moved back onto the international stage. And credit to the guy, this was a huge star in the very early seasons of League of Legends. And, you know, to go play in his kind of home domestic league, to do well as a team that he knows himself is maybe not as strong as the one he was originally on, but to do his team proud, to continually win, and then do better and better each time. Yes, a loss here is disappointing for any team or player that comes to this tournament, but as you mentioned, he's looking good so far in the early stages of this game, and no team is out of it yet. Cloud9 are going to have to play pretty carefully as Gambit have finally generated themselves an early advantage.
And I think the fear for Cloud9, as we touch into, you know, where the state of the game is the game has sped up a little bit. That the mid-game out of Gambit is going to be fairly oppressive to play against, and they're going to have to pick their windows. And in the play-in stage against Detonation Focus Me, Cloud9 wasn't able to do that. They were rushing plays. They were getting caught out. In game number 2, it felt like a similar situation. So this isn't a Cloud9 lineup that is playing flawless macro League of Legends, that is positioning perfectly around Summoner's Rift, and I think that that will weigh on their mind if this game continues to track in a similar trajectory.
And again, Cloud9 are a pretty scrappy team, all things considered. They kind of clawed their way out of groups last year at Worlds, but not in play-in. That's where they dominated. So to be challenged here, certainly credit to Gambit. We'll see which team can clean it up. So we pop back onto Summoner's Rift.
And there is always two sides to every coin, Pastry. You have to acknowledge that this time around, the play-in teams have challenged majority of the seed ones more than what Cloud9 was challenged last year. So I don't think that's necessarily a knock on Cloud9 in completion. I think they are playing messier League of Legends, but I also think that at a certain point, you do have to sit back and say, you know, the Turkeys, the CIS regions are starting to rise, that this year has certainly been a better year for the LJL in totality.
It's been their best year ever at Worlds. That's like, again, it's like maybe a small thing, but you can't take away from the fact, and you could see it in the reaction from the local commentators, from the local Japanese fans, that it means so much to them to just get one step further than you've ever got before. So I agree, certainly credit to all the teams that we've seen so far, and we've got a lot more worlds to play Spawn. But for now, we'll focus back in on the game at hand. Cloud9 looking to win this one in 4. Gambit, of course, trying to prevent it as Jensen cleaning out the minions, are growing stronger and stronger as Diamond is back down to his favorite place.
Makes a lot of sense, you know, Flash is back available, but they still have the CC, they have the Nautilus ultimate that can guarantee that knock-up, and whilst not the most telegraphed gank I've ever seen, when Edward starts running around with sweepers and pink wards, you have to know something is coming, so Svenskeren does the right job. Once again, Nocturne, one of the best counter gankers in the game, positions for the play. I think that's going to be crucial as the game progresses.
I wouldn't call subtlety a strong suit of Gambit. Oh, ult misses. Sneaky just fades right. Lodik, though, did give it an attempt, and again, I haven't seen him yet, but seen him have a pretty good idea at the time in this here.
I wonder if he continues. Kira actually goes in.
Jensen, though, winning a little, gets the Rift Walk on. Diamond, though, trying to translate this pressure into an objective at least, and has started the Cloud Drake. And they've stopped.
Yeah, I don't think that's a Drake that you want to take. You have the push in the bottom lane. You can see that mid lane also is getting first access to the wave. So if you do take that, you give a lot of that pressure back over to the C9 lineup, and they are right now starting to get, not strangled, but you know, you can feel the grip tightening as Gambit try and exert their will onto this game. Once again, C9 just need to ensure that Jensen has access to farm. So the map deteriorating, opening up at this stage of the game before he had his Rod of Ages and can go towards the side lane would be absolutely disastrous for how they want this mid game to play out.
And again, Sven is just checking down the bot side, making sure he's in range, ready with the ultimate. Moved down into that brush and cleared the control ward that Edward did place. And Diamond, I don't think I've seen him move for quite a while. He is still here in the bot side of the map.
Yeah, well, there are no major buffs for him to take. They might have thought that he is heading towards the blue buff now. A very nice trade coming in for Kira.
Jensen gonna chug a pot and run down towards the right-hand side, but could get cut off here. He wants the honey for it. Kira's gonna make him pay. Rift walk out. Kassadin Classic still safe.
And you can see the ward over the back of the Pit of Dragon has done a very nice job of kind of tracking where Diamond has been the last couple of moments. And now they have solid information of where he is. It's actually going to be Svenskeren that trades places with him and goes towards bottom lane. But I think this will be pretty easy to read if you are the Gambit lineup.
Ward's going to make it unnecessary to read. As a TP in from, is that Jensen? Oh, that's both of them. Everyone's coming down to the bot side of the map. They want Lodik. The hook is just short from Zeyzal, but the dump from Licorice is going to seal 2 kills in the bot side for Cloud9.
And what a beautiful play out of Cloud9. The easiest way to get to your spikes is to accelerate the state of the game. Take yourself a couple of kills and a turret, and it was against the flow. We mentioned that Diamond was going to be heading north to hand off that blue buff. Cloud9 read the play. They use the previously mentioned ward, and they smash Gambit.
Yeah, just erase the duo lane and take the turret as well. Sneaky continuing to cash in on both turrets and champions. We'll watch this one again.
And this is just beautiful coordination. As soon as the teleports are completed, they make the move for the play. You can see that once the stack had been committed to, they're willing to burn everything they needed. Multiple flashes coming out to ensure that play is successful. And now the fact that, you know, Svenskeren is arguably back accelerating into the game. He's a little bit down on experience, but has 4 camps up and available, is going to be fine into this mid game. Diamond's job becomes very hard because he is going to be the target if ever Sven is second to the gank. If Diamond flies in there first, Sven is just going to try and eliminate the Taliyah.
Gets harder as well, given that Sneaky also finished his first item. Unless you count jungle items, is the first one in the game to get that done, as Zeyzal tries a very sneaky hook from Fog of War, but Lodik is just out of range.
And they're still not in a situation where Jensen wants to go to a side lane, especially given the fact that he just burnt his flash and doesn't have Roa stacking up still. It's still very squishy if he ever does get collapsed upon by multiple members. So you can see that he's hovering his pressure towards mid lane and then only just catching the side lane as it is about to hit turret. That chunk could be pretty crucial, however, for Kira if he wants to stick around. He's the person with the double summoner spells and can look to continue this pressure. So 1-3-1, certainly not at the state where it's going to shove up lanes. I think Gambit has done a good enough job of delaying that for a few more minutes. And these are the windows that we talk about, where Poppy is more online, where right now the Taliyah is more impactful to level 11, where Kira, level 11, is going to have huge presence in these fights, where Gambit really need to make their mark and try and accumulate a lead.
Well, despite the disaster in the bot side of the map, Gambit did get the Rift Hold out of it, so they'll use that to take the mid out of turret. Sneaky dispatches that before the charge can come in. As you mentioned, Cloud9 still needing to buy time. Jensen with the blue up, and I assume Rod of Ages probably done, although he's going to catch the next wave that Kira is pushing. Licorice even roaming down to mid lane just to try and find something here. His turret's a little low after that departure, but still feeling pretty confident here with a healthy lead. And more than anything, just wants to impact the map if he can again. But Cloud9 having no TPs for a little while. It will actually be Stejos back and ready with his global that can try and make a play. Game is still balanced very delicately at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the next breaking point, as that mid lane turret is now gone, is can they impact the 3 units of Svenskeren, Sneaky, and Zeyzal? Because last game they weren't really able to do it pastry. However, this game, they have the Taliyah. They have a very easy engage of Edwards just clicking R on someone and being able to follow up. And they can chase for a very long time. So I want to see Gambit right now look to try and push out the 2 side waves as far as they can, which is unfortunately only the turrets, and then try and collapse mid. Because if you get control over the middle portion of the 1-3-1, then you can start getting vision around jungle, you can start starving out side lanes. The last thing you want to do is continue to funnel farm into Jensen, into Licorice, and allow them to have the late games that we keep talking about. And C9 should honestly just keep conceding as much as it makes sense.
Yep.
Keep trying to pick up the side waves and just keep scaling.
Yeah, as a result, Gambit do get themselves the Cloud Drake, but certainly an acceptable loss given where we are. Licorice getting slammed into the wall by Stejos. Just going to run out of there. Stejos with that finished Sunfire Cape and the Glacial Shroud. Pretty potent in a 1v1 versus the Jarvan.
Absolutely is, and with that pressure top lane, all of a sudden it becomes a little bit more difficult to rely on, because you can see Kira heavily winning the bottom lane split push. Stejos is starting to win the top lane split push. If this is potentially a Sheen getting picked up because he wants to be more of a damage threat, then, you know, Licorice might be in some trouble here. And if the wave starts breaking for C9, if they can't hold at these turrets, then Svenskeren is going to start getting starved out of his jungle. A starved Nocturne not going to be much use at all.
See, Licorice is trying to hold on to as much of this turret as he can, but Cannon Wave is chunking it down. Stejos continuing to apply that pressure, and Licorice, he wants to go back. He has money to spend. C9's duo from the bot lane is going to try and pressure this mid turret. Lodik running back there, though, with his Blade of the Ruined King now finished, and the Ginsu's Rage Blade on the way, and Cloud9 can't do too much more other than push the wave in.
And I think C9 are a couple of items away, or a serious mistake from being truly even in this game, even though right now the score indicates that that is the case, because they've had to pick up a QSS. They have got, technically, the weaker jungler right now. Diamond is ahead of his lane opponent, and they are starting to really knock on these turrets. Unless the 1v1 in the bottom lane starts to swing heavily in Jensen's favor, which I don't think it does just yet, then they're playing on the back foot in 3 lanes.
You can see Gambit using that continued pressure to get the turret in top lane. Hook onto Edward, though. They are going to commit the box used. Training Corruption forces the QSS from Sneaky. Doesn't take too much damage after the fact as well. Kira and Jensen, though, at it again. Chain does latch. Jensen going to try and find it out. Here's Svenskeren, though, riding down towards it.
He went on the wrong one.
Oh, Jensen dies again. Kira able to take him out. Can he get away from Svenskeren, though? Now Gambit actually found a different pick. It's Zeyzal that's left out to dry. Wards over, trapped into the wall. A beautiful weave as well from Diamond as Lodik gets a kill.
That is a heads-up play out of Diamond. Traps a Thresh in the Dragon Pit. You can see they also force off Sneaky. They get key summoners from multiple members and are able to pick up the kills. Gambit right now fighting back in this series.
Kira did die, but Gambit certainly still with hope as they hold onto their lead in this game, and they're not done. They're going to try and siege up something here in mid lane. See if they can't get another pick for themselves.
And this is what you want if you're a Gambit fan. You want them to continue to get kills on this LeBlanc. You want the LeBlanc to be able to stand toe to toe with Jensen. You can see that hiding around the wall, Jensen greedily wrist walk forward, wants to clear out the wave, and that chain just threaded masterfully between the creeps. It looked like Kira was trying to get out of the play, so you can't really blame Jensen potentially for going for the clone. And once you have left the 3 as the jungler, then, you know, the support, the AD carry, need to not be that pressed up. That was the case. Ultimately, it was Sneaky that grabbed a kill, so huge play for the AD carry of Cloud9 to be able to cash in there. But still, you have to say winning trade for the Gambit lineup.
Yeah, both here and Lodik picks them up, so Gold kind of going in the right places here. Lodik actually pretty rapidly approaching item number 2. Sneaky continuing to push the waves up in mid, but Cloud9 don't have a whole lot of map to pressure right now, given that they're still down in turrets and critically down mid-turret more than anything else.
And I'd be interested to see who won a stand and deliver fight between Lodik and Sneaky right now, because Lodik, when he gets towards the Gwinsus, is going to hit like a truck. Sneaky going to mitigate some of that with the nice magic resistance that's picked up from QSS, because it's going to be a lot of mixed damage that comes out of Varus at this stage of the game, but Sneaky's certainly not where he wants to be, and they're actually collapsing onto him potentially.
Stejos looking for the flank, but Sneaky backs off. Lantern is there,
Can't take it! Zephyr Prince and the QSS after the flash. Nautilus going to make that an easy one, though.
And that is just mistiming from Sneaky. Thought the Zephyr present was down a second before it was. One more time, Gambit collapsed on that mid lane and are looking to take a turret.
and take they will. They'll tank it for a little while longer. The wave will come in case they need the help. And 3 turrets to 1. Gambit bust through mid lane and now look for the top side again. Jensen, Cloud9 in general just need more time, but Gambit are not giving it to them right now.
And Pastry, this is what we said, when you control the middle of the turret, you're able to explode into the side lanes. Diamond doing the right thing, holding off to the side, can use the wall if they want to siege this and try and cut off the defense.
Pretty big wave. There's a good wall from Diamond. Cloud9 get out over the other side of it with the lantern used by Zeyzal onto Sven, but they will not be able to protect the turret. Gambit continuing to accrue advantages here.
And a pick into 2 turrets now. Bottom lane really the only area where Gambit need to look to attack, and with the rest of the map so wide open, should be much easier. Licorice gonna take some damage. Not really all that much coming out of Kira.
Pretty tanky for Licorice. There's a lot of health built up between the Black Cleaver and the Durham's Fist. And looks like he's gonna wander down to the right-hand side of the map. Jensen actually is translated to top lane, so apparently wants to kind of swap things up. I guess it makes sense with Baron maybe being the concern, although there is an Ocean Drake up if either team wants to have a look at that.
And not only that, right now Jensen is a teleport user. He's going to get collapsed on but gets out. So really Jensen even more wants to be top side, bottom side. As we take another look at this is Sneaky. He had the lamp to click on. You can see face just after Steadfast presence. Really, he was probably dead either way just because of the chain CC coming across.
Like we said, Nautilus does a hell of a job on an AD carry, regardless.
Nautilus in general. I mean, he has the most innate CC built into his kit along with Sejuani. Just one of those champions that, when he is in the meta, is very oppressive to play against.
Ooh, Jensen looking for Stejos here. Zeyzal also ready for the follow-up here. Hook does not land. Great flash from Stejos.
So I want to talk about a mini interaction there. It's quite forgotten, because back in the day where Kassadin's Q used to be a silent, it would stop everything as they actually engage on the mid lane.
Yeah, again, all in the mid side. They are going to grab Lodik there. Svenskeren just dives onto his face. Nautilus is also going to get burnt. He flashes out to make sure the rest of his carries are safe. Licorice, though, maybe too far forward. Kira is maybe going to thread the chain through. He does grab the shutdown. Snipes Licorice through the traffic.
Oh, that was very close. Stejos gets the ult.
Yep, gets the knock up there. There's the move back as well. Diamond finds the flick, and that's another pick for Gambit.
It certainly wasn't. All of a sudden, Gambit just continue the fight. This time it's Cloud9 that starts it off without the teleport of Stejos being channeled, but he gets back to base. He gets back into the fight. Potentially, they're going to look at Baron.
They're at least going to start it here. Svenskeren is up, but he's got no flash. There's no blast plant there. They are going to see them. They hook the support. They're trying to get some poke down, but Cloud9, what can they even do to try and get in there? Sven's got no ulti. He has no way to try and smite this. They're just trying to harass here. Edward is low, but Kira again. We're going to find that flank. Jensen are going to chase him down. They're still on the Baron here, Spawn.
Yeah, they might have this Pastry. There's no way for Sven to get in without a lantern, and Zeyzal is so low. Lodik's going to come over. They can just finish this one off.
It's only Jensen really that can steal this. Svenskeren getting shut down. They're right in it, but it's not enough. C9, they found the play. It was the lantern.
but Gambit still take down the objective.
Baited and outsmarted, they get the Baron, they pick themselves up 2 kills at the same time, and now Gambit have firm control of the game.
4,000 gold ahead with much more to play for in these next 3 minutes. Cloud9 firmly on the back foot now. We talk about them needing time. The time they need is just increasing as Gambit find these advantages.
And this is so impressive because we said they will get outscaled eventually. However, at this stage of the game, the Leblanc reigns supreme. You can see Kira just being such a nuisance, takes him so low. So much pressure on this smite. And it is Diamondprox flexing, having a fantastic performance so far this game. And carrying Gambit, honestly, to what is a very strong mid-game position.
I mean, he's an OG of situations just like that, and once more his smite rings true. Now Cloud9 at the whim of the next siege point for Gambit. They'll take the easy one first down in the bottom outer turret. And Cloud9 gonna give that one away.
And it looked like Stejos had used ultimate top lane. But what I was gonna say is that Jensen's Q actually breaks the channel of the Poppy wind-up. So whilst you heard the Poppy hammer start winding up in the top lane, it was actually just an interrupt, which only puts it on the shortened cooldown, which means when Stejos does teleport into that mid lane play, had it up and available to take down Sneaky.
Now
a little thing in these games.
That's the thing for sure. 6 turrets to 1 now. Gambit climbing ahead, 5,000 gold now in the lead. Diamond cuts them off, a standard siege Taliyah wall, but does look good here. As Kira chunking people out. Even Licorice is relatively tanky, at least as far as Cloud9's overall team is. And their Stejos going to channel the just force them off this. And Gambit brute force and smash through the outer inhibitor turret
Teleport
here.
coming in, Pastry. That's going to be Licorice in the back line.
Once again, looking for the flank. This must work for Cloud9. They'll dive in. Everyone in onto Lodik, but already Nocturne is dead to Kira. Lodik still living for a little while longer. Jensen, though, actually does slay him, but it costs him his life as Diamond picks him off. Cloud9, I don't think that's enough for what they had to pay there.
Certainly might not be the case. You can see Stejos so tanky. Hook just misses. Sneaky has to flash it. Do they look for the end?
Gambit, they are going to go for the throat. Cloud9, 3 left. Can Gambit push us to game number 5? Here for our first best of 5 in the play-in knockouts. They find the slam. Licorice burns the stopwatch. The Nexus turret, though, still under siege. Licorice, he can't really get out. He dives into the backside, but he can't get this assassination. And Kira is just smashing people. Sneaky, able to take down the clone, but that's not the LeBlanc they were looking for. Another hook from Zeyzal, but Cena, they got him. Just have no help to defend. And Gambit, they will make it all the way to game number 5. What a performance.
And after game 2, the analysts were kind of patting himself on the back. They said that was the one game that we gave Gambit, but they say no. Blue side victories, able to carry them through to this game 5. And Diamondprox having a throwback early game, setting the scene.
We said we were a little befuddled about why he took Gragas over Taliyah in game number 3. And after that performance, I think we're a little justified.
I was going to say, now you're even more confused. Like, what is going on? Diamond just putting on the carry pants, but it wasn't just that. It was the Kira this time around. Much greater control over that mid-game. If you're Jensen, you concede so much early pressure in that matchup, and Kira really made him pay. But across the board, Gambit seemed to be elevating as the series goes on. Now, this is a situation, if you're North America, you did not want Cloud9 to be in. Your young rookie players that we keep talking about, backs against the wall, might fail to make groups for the first time.
Certainly it would be a devastating blow, but we'll have to see how it all pans out. Gambit just slowly growing in strength to strength. But for more on how Gambit had tied up the series and pushed us to game number 5, let's get a breakdown from the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pastry. As much as we want to talk about C9 not making it to the group phase, I think we also have to talk about the possibility of Gambit somehow, against everyone's expectations, maybe making it to the group stage of Worlds. What's going on?
I mean, it's very fitting that the region that had the one team to ever get out of group stage as a wildcard region also be the first team to upset a #1 seed. It'd be pretty impressive.
Wow. So let's break down, Raz, how it happened. I feel like we're seeing a different Gambit almost every game, and in this one, it was Diamondprox who went off early.
Yeah, a complete evolution. I felt like what we didn't expect was going to be the constant jungle pressure coming on towards the the Taliyah pick, I didn't expect the Taliyah pick coming through. So I immediately, just from the draft alone, expected there to be more of a Nocturne pick for him, but it was actually swapped. Svenskeren picked up the Nocturne. The pressure went towards mid. Immediately went towards the bottom lane. All of this while it was envisioned, so Diamondprox went straight from mid to bottom lane. Don't know what was happening in the comms here.
No, this is a fair amount of disrespect in those previous two replays, but with that, Gambit was kind of off to the races. The game that they had that was really impressive from their day one performance also had the Taliyah, and I think that's a pick that, you know, they have to be careful of now because it seems to work very well, moving to blue side for C9 next game. Maybe they have to ban it.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that Gambit this time around did seem a bit cleaner than they had in the previous games after they got that lead. And one big difference was in the mid lane. Our MasterCard player of the game is Kira. And I didn't expect him to get any MasterCard players of the game during this series. He started off horribly. So what happened in this one?
I mean, we were talking about in game 1 and game 2, the reason that we thought Gambit had no chance in this series because we expected Jensen to monster him the entire time, but it felt like Jensen took a counter pick he was completely out of practice on, whereas Kira looked great on the Leblanc pick and was able to win a lot of trades, and then Jensen having some disrespectful attempts at clearing a wave 2v1 as Kassadin pre-6 gave over the first blood, and from there, in the side lanes, he continued to outplay both Jensen and Svenskeren.
Yeah, these are the best games I've seen from Kira by far, and this was when not only does he have, like, the Kassadin have a pretty good matchup here, but he had the backup in a 1-3-1 with the Nocturne pick. So the fact that that plan hasn't been paying off when Kira was actually just in a 1v2 situation in the mid game was very surprising. And on top of that, a lot of the mid lane trades, sure, Cloud9 found an opportunity to go for a bottom lane dive with a 5-man flex. It was just still Gambit having a lot of control before that point. So this is much more better control from Gambit.
I think that's the big thing, was like that was supposed to be a matchup that was going to swing in C9's favor, and the fact that Kira turned it back around to be their advantage kind of broke C9's comp apart in a lot of ways, because they don't really want a 5v5. Yes, they can dive and kill Lodik with the amount of insane engage that they have, but after that, their team fight is useless, and it's basically pick one person, and you want to do that in the 1-3-1 setup, but they can't do that because Jensen's getting crushed.
No, so from that, Gambit takes the game. We're all squared up. Now, mentally, you arrive as Gambit as, of course, they showed confidence in the pre-game interviews, but I'm sure they realized that C9 was actually supposed to be much better than them. And C9, on the other hand, probably didn't come into this day thinking they would hear silver scrapes and have to go into a game 5. How do they reset?
Immediately, just to say this, they have to reset their draft. I know that's something that we've gone and focused on a little bit. The Draven Thresh lanes, I think, is just so it's pure laning phase dominance. Move away from that. Go back to the Kai'Sa. Play towards team fighting. You can play a little bit slower. Right now, these games are a lot more hectic early on, and that's not in the comfort of C9.
Absolutely agree. I mean, they lost one laning phase pretty harsh by like 30 or 40 CS when they were on the Kai'Sa, but I'd still take that over the Draven. And you can also ban out the Varus and some of the things that were punishing it here on blue side. I think they have a lot of flexibility to stop experimenting. The Jarvan into Poppy is kind of weird. It's not like inherently great. There's a number of those kinds of things where I look at what they chose to do, and I think that they could do a lot better. And
immediately, I want to see Blabber back in. Only because I felt like in the 1-3-1, the communication was a big disconnect between Jensen and well,
just to jump in here, there are no substitutions for the next game.
There we go.
That won't be the case, and C9 is blue.
So that's immediately, I would just say they should just change it up so they have a 2v2 focused mid, just go back and draft, because this time around, Leblanc and Taliyah are great, so they can force the 2v2s. So I'm not saying to take both of them. I think Taliyah is going to be a higher priority here.
You weren't that much afraid of the blue side. You said before the last game, I'm actually more scared of C9 on the red side because of the things I've seen. Now, do you feel confident that with the blue side, they'll be able to close things out?
I think so, but like the great Edward said, Sene.
Oh my gosh.
Who knows?
All right then. Well, we will be seeing what will be happening. I also believe we'll be hearing silver scrapes, and we'll be going to break in just a second, I believe. Yeah, that's true. Well, Silver Scrapes is up, and C9 is back, and they're up against it. They have to get back in this game, and they have to win their next game if they want to get to the group stage, or is it all up to Gambit? We'll see after the break.
We are not finished yet. We are not winning yet. Look at them. They want to win so badly, right? Prepare your mindset for winning against them. Don't get too nervous. Don't get too excited.
Jensen also staying, does get flicked back in. He's actually just straight in front of them. He's got Ignited, and that's first blood. Jensen, what on earth are you doing? Everyone's coming down to the bot side of the map. They want Lodik. The hook is just short from Zeyzal, but the dunk from Licorice is gonna seal 2 kills in the bot side for Cloud9. Licorice, though, maybe too far forward. Kira is maybe gonna thread the chain through. He does grab the shutdown. Everyone in onto Lodik, but already Nocturne is dead to Kira. Lodik still living for a little while longer. Jensen, though, actually does slay him, but it costs him his life as Diamond picks him off. Cloud9, I don't think that's enough for what they had to pay there. And Gambit, they will make it all the way to game number 5.